Hello, this is the Burt Locker. I am Burt Green. This is basically a show all about mixed martial arts, either predicting fights or breaking down the cards that have just been. If you're an MMA fan, you know the card that has just been. It was UFC 285. If you have not seen those results yet and you're going to watch it, don't watch this because it's a breakdown of what happened at the event. So obviously there are going to be spoilers if I have to explain. I don't think I need to explain that. Anyway, you've probably seen the results by now. They're really difficult to miss. I'm going to break down the potential ramifications from some of the wins and losses at UFC 285. Ian Machado Gary, he was very slick. He's the new 170 pounder from Ireland. He's looked very, very good. His low calf kicks early on were extremely effective against Song Kenan. And the only slip up, Song Kenan, the assassin, he has got some power. He caught Gary with a left hook in that first round, floored him. Gary, in some ways, was fortunate to get out of there. I think, you know, because he was knocked down and it was a flash knockdown. If there had been slightly more pressure applied after that, you never know what would happen. But either way, irregardless, what happened was Gary managed to get to the end of the round and he really shored himself up. He came out looking very sharp, very tight, and he didn't chase the finish. What I really enjoyed about how he picked Kenan apart, it was brilliant to watch. Body, head, his combinations flowed so well. He was just throwing you know, the jab with the left high kick straight after was so fast, and he's just, you know, he's in, he's out, he's feinting, he's going to the body, and he wasn't chasing the finish. He let the finish present itself, and when it presented itself, man, he poured it on, and the state of Song Kenan's face afterwards was a sight to behold. He in fact did a little post saying, you know, with the guy's face, and someone, I don't know, must have gotten upset about it or something, but he said, look, no, at the end of the day, I'll show my respect after the fight. I have no disrespect to my opponent, but you know, his face is my canvas and this is art. So that's some cold shit. That is cold. I thought he presented himself very well in the interview as well. He's almost a hype man for the UFC. I really appreciate it. He's just like, look, we all know that we're here to see the greatest of all time, John Jones, later tonight. And he's like throwing out, you know, his hype for the Miami card because he's saying, you know, Masvidal versus Burns, that's a huge fight. Get me on that card. And he's kind of promoting the UFC's events whilst trying to get fights on the new cards. It's a very clever way of doing it. And the way he was kind of very humble, but also very sure of his skill set as well. And I like that combination. It's really, really good because when he was talking to Joe Rogan, like obviously he said about, you know, I got caught in that first round. Look, at the end of the day, we're playing with these 4-ounce gloves. All of these men deserve to be here. Everybody in the UFC deserves to be here. And if you are not watching everything you're doing for every second, you are going to get caught, and that's what happened to me just there. But you know what, managed to rally back and come back, and it was just a very, very positive post-fight interview. The whole performance was fantastic. In the Octagon performance, the post-fight, he's a very likeable guy, and I look forward to seeing more of him. Ian Machado Gary, he is one to watch. He was one to watch before. That has not changed. Tabitha Ricci was just sensational, as I thought. She was the shorter judo black belt, and because of that, Penne was going for a ride, and boy did she. It was a beautiful hip throw, hip toss, just underarm, lovely. She got the underhook, and just it was just the spring in it as well. Absolutely beautiful. And it's because the belt line is just lower, and she obviously she's a black belt as well. And the armbar she got on was slick as all hell, but the way she separated the hands was perfect. It was a picture perfect armbar, it really was. Tabitha Ricci, I'm a huge fan of hers. I was going into this, that has not changed. Doesn't hurt that she's absolutely gorgeous. She is wonderful, but her skill set as well, just absolutely fantastic. She really plays to her attributes because she is only like 5'1". She is tiny, but she's a judo black belt and she's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt, and because of that, she can get into you. Her belt line is lower, and you are going for a ride. She's gonna take you down, and then she can transition to those submissions just so effortlessly. Honestly, I like Tabitha Ricci. I think she's really one to watch. She's very, very good. Dricus Duplessis, the S is silent. Look, I picked against him in this one. I get it wrong a lot of the time. I thought that the whole fight was going to be very much how round one went against Derek Brunson. Derek Brunson looked very good in round one, I have to say. But I wasn't picking against Dricus because I don't like him or I don't respect his skill set. I just thought that Derek Brunson was a tough matchup for him. It was a tough matchup. And Dricus, he weathered the storm, and he managed to get Derek Brunson out of there. It was really great to watch, because the thing is, one thing I'm hoping that Dricus gets to sort out is Joe Rogan was saying in the commentary that the reason he looks so tired all the time, he often breathes with his mouth open because his sinuses, his nose is absolutely battered, because he kickboxed in K1 or M1 and for ages. He's been a kickboxer for a long while. It's where he gets his unorthodox striking from. Really very good. But I like his style. What he brings are exciting fights at the end of the day. He's an exciting fighter. He's got a great personality. I am well into seeing Dricus du Plessis possibly get a #1 contender spot against maybe a Jared Cannonier. I just hope they don't feed him to Bo Nickel, because that could be a problem, because Bo Nickel is the real deal. Good Lord. Okay, look. So he did low blow pick it and then take him down. But I don't know how bad the low blow was. But I don't think it would have mattered anyway, honestly. I just feel like his ground transitions are so incredibly fast. He is one to watch. Bo Nickel, he is so good. And we're going to see if he lives up to all that hype. There's not many that debut on pay-per-view. 3-0. Debut on pay-per-view. And to get the first round submission, that's very telling. It wouldn't surprise me to see him go against someone like Kelvin Gastelum next. That would be a fun fight. Shavkat Rakhmonov, he's the boogeyman of the 170-pound division. I said that before. That hasn't changed. He's the guy they're keeping Khamzat Chimaev away from for good reason, because I think that Shavkat Rakhmonov beats everybody at 170 pounds, and I will stand by that until he gets beaten. I'm going to stand by that. I really think he is that good. He got a bar choke on Jeff Neal and just dropped him to the canvas. It was brutal. Brutal stuff. Alexa Grasso. Who called that? I mean, seriously, who called that? If you called that, fair play to you. Well done. But I will be wanting to see a bet slip to prove it. Okay? Because, look, I hold my hands up. I thought Valentina was going to have a fairly easy night. I didn't think, that's not to discredit Grasso, but Valentina's just that good. But you know what? She didn't give Grasso an opportunity. Grasso snatched an opportunity. And Grasso was just absolutely fantastic. The speed at which she took that back was brilliant. She got that the force of that choke as well. When she took her arm off, like you see, like the white versus the red on Valentina's face, it was just brilliant. Great performance, Alexa Grasso. Congratulations. What a night for Mexican fighters and for Alexa Grasso. Just absolutely superb. She put on a great performance. I look forward to seeing the rematch. Honestly, I do think it's likely that Valentina probably gets it back, because I would say that I think Valentina was possibly winning that fight, but she didn't obviously win the fight because she got submitted. But I think in a rematch, Valentina could very well take it back. But she is 35 now, Valentina. That's not young, is it? That's not young. So is this going to be the start of the decline, or are the other ladies in that division catching up? That's the real question, isn't it? Then you got to the main event of the evening, Jon Jones. I mean, look, Garn, he looked like a deer in headlights, didn't he? He just didn't look comfortable in there with him, because as soon as Jon Jones got him to the ground, that was it. It was over. And one guy online I saw, it's amazing the people that are trying to come out and discredit Jon Jones's victory any way they can. One guy was saying that, well, he was already tired, he was already gassed, and that's why he was reaching for that takedown. He didn't reach for anything. He slipped a punch, grabbed Garn and got him down, and just did all of the right things. He did all the right things. And then he got that guillotine on, and that was all she wrote. Because the scary thing with Jon Jones now at heavyweight is that he's playing to his strengths, right? At light heavyweight, you often saw him playing to his opponent's strengths, because he was almost playing with his food at light heavyweight. He wasn't taking a lot of those guys that seriously, and that's maybe why some of his performances people were criticising them. But you've got to bear in mind, he was kickboxing with Thiago Santos. He should have just wrestled Thiago Santos, and he didn't. He chose to kickbox him. Like, he would always try and play to the strengths of his opponents. At heavyweight, he's not going to do that. He's going to play to his strengths, and he's going to take the path of least resistance, because he knows that the path of least resistance is to take Ciryl Gane down and to submit him. John Jones playing to his strengths and finding the path of least resistance might be the most frightening thing we've ever seen in MMA, because who's going to stop him? If he's fighting like that, who is going to stop him? Because, look, people say that the greatest of all time argument is a tough argument. It's a tough debate. No, it isn't. It's whoever has the most accolades, championships in that sport is the greatest of all time. In MMA, it is John Jones. It's very simple. He has 15 title fights now, 15 title wins. He is the greatest of all time. In American football, it is Tom Brady. He has more Super Bowl rings than any franchise in the history of that sport. Ergo, he is the greatest of all time. It's not that difficult of an argument. It really isn't. It's people want to just try and justify the people they like to be the greatest of all time. It's not about who you like. It's about who is the best. Who is the greatest of all time? That man in MMA is John Jones. It's not even a debate. It is not. And next with John Jones, obviously, they've already put it together. They've signed it up. It's going to be July. It's Stipe Miocic. That's interesting. That is interesting because, look, Stipe Miocic, he's an NCAA wrestler himself. He had NCAA level wrestling, Golden Gloves boxing as well. He hits hard. He's got good wrestling. I don't know if that's enough to stop John Jones. And that's the beautiful thing about that fight, isn't it? We don't know. We've seen Jones look good at heavyweight now, but against somebody else, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of a game plan John Jones, who's trying to play to his strengths and to his opponent's weaknesses, it'll be interesting to see what kind of a game plan he comes up with for Stipe Miocic, because what are Stipe's glaring weaknesses? I don't think he has that many. He really doesn't. Like, Stipe's decent striking, he's got good wrestling, he's a big dude, he's got power, you know, it's an interesting fight. It really is. And I am looking forward to seeing it. If John Jones gets past that, one fight that I would like to see thrown out there is this fella, Mr. Brock Lesnar, right? Because, and I'm not even kidding. I've seen it kind of thrown around the place because, look, like it or not, how many pay-per-views would that sell? It would probably break the record, wouldn't it? It would break the record, undoubtedly. And people don't want to hear that. But at the end of the day, Brock Lesnar is still a draw. And also, Brock Lesnar is still a very dangerous man. Even at his age, look, at the end of the day, Brock is not a young man anymore. So I doubt it would ever happen. It's all a pipe dream, really, because Brock is not young. But he's a big dude. And the thing is like, you know, John Jones, he's like 248. Right? There is a difference between someone who's 248 and has to cut down to 265. Like, Brock Lesnar definitely would have the size. You've got to wonder, how would Jones fare trying to wrestle somebody that size? I would think that he'd try and strike with him. I'm not saying that Brock Lesnar would beat John Jones. Far from it. I'm just saying it would be an interesting fight. People would pay to see it. I certainly would. I would love to see that. Just because of the spectacle of it. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Look, haters will say, oh no, I don't want that fake-ass wrestler in there. But people who aren't idiots could see the value in that matchup. They see it. Do you know what I mean? I see the value in that matchup. It would break every single pay-per-view record out there. It really would. And it wouldn't be a foregone conclusion either. I think that Jones probably would win. But there are definite problems that Brock Lesnar presents to anybody. And that is true. Really interesting. The heavyweight division all of a sudden got interesting, didn't it? It's like Francis who? Good Lord. Anyway, the easiest troll of the week this week is, look, you've heard of Cocaine Bear. Now you've got Cocaine Goat. It's John Jones's body. He's the goat head. It's good. It's actually a very good Photoshop. Credit to Jalen at White Rose. Brilliant. Brilliant stuff. Next up this week, Yan. It's Peter Yan versus Valashvili. That's actually a really good fight card. Going to be breaking that one down, doing a casuals guide this week at some point, and a couple of deep dives as well. Yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, please just hit subscribe. Appreciate it. And yeah, until next time, keep all those odds long and those bets terrible.